I'll try it out. Welcome to Cold Hard Trash CRT episode 26. My name is Trashcan Jones.
And I'm Breeeg, your fellow name.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I kind of like the host better. It is more
it
of
probably would have went better if I didn't completely take the wind out of it.
No,
Name.
It's true. It's one of the things, like, you just kind of complete the sentence in your head. I kind of completed it almost the same way, where I was like, yeah, it doesn't sound right. And then you said it, and I said, yeah, it doesn't sound right. It went from virtuality to reality.
Virtual insanity.
Sounds like a name of a roller coaster.
It's the name of a song.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, you ever see that thing where it's like, it's a guy in a room and he's like, you know, just standing there and he like just moves closer, or like, you know, he's walking around and all this furniture is just sort of like moving back and forth around the room.
No.
Oh, it's Virtual Insanity by Jamiroquai.
Jamiroquai.
Yes.
Sounds like a very familiar name. Does he have any other, like, hit songs?
Not that I know of. I mean, probably, but
right.
You know, this is the one that experienced a resurgence because a Family Guy clip about that song gained popularity, and then so people started listening to the original song again.
So it's probably something, if I heard it, I might know. If it was something that was, like, virally popular, I'd probably, like, know it, but just don't know that it is Virtual Insanity, you know?
Yeah, it goes like, future made of virtual insanity has always seemed to this love we have.
Doesn't sound familiar. Interesting. I wonder.
Has a piano part at the beginning, like boom boom, boom boom, boom boom. You listen to it afterwards.
I was gonna say I'll have to listen to the song. None of that sounds familiar. Interesting.
It's a good song.
I want the sequel, Actual Insanity.
Real Insanity.
It's just him just screaming and slamming on a piano violently. It's like a joke in King of the Hill where they have, you know, the band Brownsville Station. They have the song "Smoking in the Boys' Room" is one of their biggest hits. But in the show, they're like, "Hey, Brownsville Station's having a reunion tour. Still smoking in the boys' room."
There's no reason to stop smoking in the boys' room.
A classic follow-up.
So.
It might be time, before you get into anything, for part 2 of the Banana Bread episode. We didn't mention it at the start, but...
Oh yeah, this is part 2 of the Banana Bread episode. The Banana Bread's almost done. It took a whole week.
A whole week of banana bread cooking. Let's see if we overcooked it.
Did the thing go off? So we're going to leave these, like, empty spaces into the episodes?
I mean, yeah, I'll just edit them out. That'll be fine. I guess that's just a problem for future me to worry about. It's not just a big copy-paste. It'll be pretty obvious, too. There's just a big, like, lull in the audio.
Yeah. But Banana Bread is going in for an extra 5 minutes.
Yes, indeed. Make sure it gets that little extra cook. So, although you said you added butter on top, I don't know. Maybe it shouldn't be so soggy. Maybe it needs a little crisp.
Yeah. So the idea behind the butter on top is that, you know how, like, you'll bake, like, a loaf of bread or something like that, and, like, people will put the cuts into it to let it expand properly? I like that effect. I think it's pretty cool. And I've seen something like this before, which it's sort of like the opposite in, like, the way of achieving it, but it ends up, like, looking a little bit similar. Where you put a line of butter on top, and that sort of prevents it from rising. So there's still, like, a sort of cut in the middle of the top of it.
Right.
Which I think could look cool. And I don't know, I just felt like it. I do think I used too much butter, though. It's 2 tablespoons, because that was what was in my butter dish, and I'm like, well, I don't want to have
a little bit of butter left over. Yeah,
the whole dish. Like, I'm gonna go home today. I'm gonna clean that dish. I'm gonna put new butter in it. I'm very excited for that. But yeah, so melt a little bit of butter, put some brown sugar in it, sort of like a glaze of a thing, and then put a little bit of vanilla in that. Ooh. And I drizzled that on top, in a straight line down the banana bread.
Sounds like it's gonna be delicious. Can't go wrong.
Another thing with the recipe is that I was supposed to use softened butter at the beginning and beat that in with brown sugar.
Yeah.
This is a process called creaming, which is used in pound cake.
Right.
So you cream the butter and sugar together, You're supposed to use a mixer. I didn't do that. I just did it by hand.
Damn. Elbow grease.
Yeah. That's the added fat. But yeah, you put those two together like as the first step, and that's significant, in how the final product's going to turn out. Pound cake, they use that process.
Right.
But it has the same recipe as, I think it's like sponge cake.
Sponge cake, you like whip the egg whites to make sure that it rises, right?
Yeah, it's the same ingredients. You can use it, with whatever ratio, but it's equal ratio of egg, butter, sugar, flour.
Mm-hmm.
That's pound cake. You do the same thing, but instead of creaming the butter and the sugar together, you whip the sugar with the egg whites.
Right, to the stiff peaks.
And you create a different texture.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. It probably would not work with the banana bread because that's already denser. But
yeah, I've thought about trying it with a cornbread, because cornbread is especially just like the cornmeal mix and then eggs and milk. So you probably could just whip the egg whites with that and get that a nice fluffier rise on it.
It is very dense. Like, these are much denser. But then again, pound cake's pretty dense.
Yeah. Pound cakes gives a lot of butter too.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I mean,
makes it dense.
It's 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 ratio for pound cake. So it's pound cake. 1 pound of this, 1 pound of this, 1 pound of this, 1 pound of this.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Easy to measure, all that jazz.
Right.
Except for the egg part, I guess. But
Pound of egg.
Yeah.
Just get 1 pound egg. Hawaiian ostrich.
Yep.
I wonder if you could make, like, obviously the eggs probably taste different. People have eaten the eggs and say, oh yeah, they have a different taste to them. If you like make baked goods with ostrich egg or something like that, I wonder how that would differ.
I don't know. If we knew more about eggs. Like, so I know the purpose of, like, chicken eggs for a lot of things, right? Like, it's mainly a coagulant. So, you use it to, like, give, like, structure and, like,
right,
sort of
help keep things together. Meatballs and whatnot.
In mayonnaise, the egg is used for, what's it called? It's not detergent, but detergent does a similar thing. But it binds to both oil and water.
Okay.
I forget the name of this type of molecule. But that's basically what it does, is that there's compounds in the egg and there's water in the egg, and you put that in with oil, and then you blend it, and then the water in the egg gets bound to the oil, and then you have a creamy texture.
Huh. I never realized.
I need to find out.
I knew eggs were in mayonnaise. I didn't know it was that simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's a whole thing with you use an immersion blender if you have one.
Yeah.
Do you?
I don't. Is it called the emulsion or immersion?
Immersion.
Oh.
Emulsion. That's
emulsion. Yeah.
Emulsifier is the name of the molecule.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, you take a egg and you put oil on top of it in a glass. Use an immersion blender and you stick it all the way to the bottom. You beat up the egg a little bit and you start lifting up the thing, and you move it up and down a couple of times, and bada bing bada bop, it transforms into mayonnaise before your eyes.
Magic.
Because you get the emulsifier and you mix the water and the oil enough, and you put air into it, and that's mayonnaise. So,
and if you add a little bit of spices and stuff to the egg, you make like a garlic mayo or chipotle mayo.
Yeah.
Neat.
Whatever you want.
Should make
Lemon's
my own
pretty
mayonnaise.
common. A little bit of lemon.
Yeah.
Also, some people have used like mayonnaise as like, I think, as an oil substitute or an egg substitute in certain baking recipes.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I was thinking about that when making the banana bread. And so, what if so Hollandaise is like a mayonnaise, but instead of oil, you use butter.
Right.
So what if I made a Hollandaise sauce and then turned that into banana bread? Because it is just egg and butter, if I get the right amounts, maybe it'd be a bad Hollandaise into a good banana bread. Maybe I make a good Hollandaise and it makes a different type of banana bread.
Yeah, I don't know. What would that texture like add to it?
I don't know. It's just It's just that it's a roundabout way of getting the same exact ingredients in there in roughly the same order.
Right.
Because the eggs were the first thing I added after the creamed butter and brown sugar, right? But if I just mix the egg in with the butter, and then I do that, like, how would that work?
We should try it out. We should make this a whole segment where we just have different things that have both butter and egg in there, and then we just make the hollandaise sauce and just add it into the recipe that way.
Exactly, yeah.
How does making hollandaise change this recipe?
It makes it harder, first off.
Maybe it makes it like more like, crumbly, denser sort of deal.
Oh, I mean, like, more challenging.
Oh, yeah. I thought you just meant it makes it more like solid, like a rock.
I don't know, probably that too. But yeah. Also, I did a little hack today because I didn't like I said, I had 2 tablespoons of butter in my butter dish. The recipe called for 4 tablespoons, half a cup, of softened butter. And I was like, well, I don't have that much softened butter. So I took out the thing. I took my cast iron stove, or my cast iron pan on the stove, heated it up. Then I had this big mixing bowl, and I put the butter in there, turned off the stove, set the bowl on top, and melted some of the butter partially.
Yeah.
And then I brought it over, and I ran cold water over the side of the bowl as I was spinning it in the sink to try and recool the butter down to a solid state again. Because it was like half the thing melted.
But why?
Because you need softened butter.
Oh, so that's how you were
butter.
softening it up? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I melted it a little bit. Like, fully melted it. It was liquid.
Quick way to do it instead of just leaving it out for 20 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of people have their ways of doing things with a microwave, which I don't have. Everyone has their sort of thing that they swear by for instantly softening butter. Which is, put it in for like 10 seconds twice or something like that.
I just leave it out. Let it get soft.
Yeah, but this is for people that, don't have the time or, forgot to do that and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. In a pinch.
But yeah, that's how I did that. There's walnuts in that bitch.
Hell yeah. A nice crunch to it.
Yeah, nuts are a very important part. I normally also like to put oatmeal on top, but I didn't own any.
Interesting. Oatmeal on top.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I like adding it. It's another texture.
I like oatmeal raisin cookies, so I don't see why I wouldn't like oatmeal banana bread.
Oatmeal raisin cookies are number 1.
Top tier. Absolutely.
Personally. Better than chocolate chip. Better than many sweeter cookies.
Absolutely. I don't think I've ever met anybody that shared this opinion. I don't know if you ever shared that with me, but I feel a connection with you. Because oatmeal raisin cookies have always been the top tier cookie. The cinnamon, there's so much more flavor complexity than just chocolate and whatever the fuck else the batter's made out of.
Yeah, the chewiness.
The chew and pull of it. Sometimes, though, you can get the oatmeal cookies that have the nice snap, too, that are hard. I like them both ways. I like them both.
I like my oatmeal cookies,
Traditionally, I like them
the
softer.
soft way, but with chocolate chip cookies and stuff like that, I actually prefer that to be snap. And I got the fucking Toll House cookies.
Dip them in some milk, especially with chocolate chip.
Yeah. But,
have you ever been? Have I ever told you about? I think we talked about it in the malls. The Nestle Toll House, where you can get an ice cream sandwich with any 2 cookies and any ice cream. Ugh.
You have mentioned that before to me.
So
it sounds very good. I'm assuming that there's not many left.
Yeah, I don't know. The only one I know of is in the mall around here.
Yeah. This is just something I found on the internet, but I remember, people. It was people complaining about wanting a goth GF or whatever.
Right, big titty goth girlfriend.
But the reason that it's much harder to do that nowadays isn't really because maybe the style isn't as popular amongst people, but it's that it's a more ecological reason. Is that malls are closing down, and those are their natural habitat.
It's a goth girl's natural habitat is around the Hot Topic. It's their source.
Yes. And so, due to habitat loss, we're seeing fewer and fewer of them in the population.
That's really funny. Hot Topic has changed, though. It's basically now just a toned down version of Box Lunch. I remember as a kid going in there, it was actually scary stuff. It was edgy violence. They had the Child's Play dolls and different horror movie stuff, and it was actually it was creepy to go in there. They had dim lights, lots of blood effects everywhere.
I think the downfall of Hot Topic can probably be attributed to the rise of Funko Pop.
Did they start selling Funko Pops?
Started selling Funko Pops. Started selling shit ton of Funko Pops.
Yeah, no.
At least, it's nice that there's still like a place that you could buy something with Gurr from Invader Zim on it.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that at Box Lunch, though. That's what I'm saying. It's just the better version.
I actually don't know what Box Lunch is, to be honest. But.
Oh, their whole naming convention is every time you buy something, it goes towards like buying a lunch for someone in need. I don't know exactly what charity or something like that, but that's
cute.
That's their whole thing. But they have a bunch of different like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Nickelodeon, different things on shirts, jerseys, like rice cookers. They got everything. It's the premier place in the mall to go for stuff like that.
I'm gonna look at how long we need to let the banana bread rest.
Oh yeah, it just came out the oven. We shouldn't cut it right away. Do we have to take it out of the thing right away to let it rest? Or do we leave it in there? Me either. Because it is just tinfoil. We could cut it free.
Allow the bread to cool on a pan in the pan set on a wire rack for 1 hour.
All right. Well, it's on basically a wire, stovetop. Stovetop, yeah.
Well,
it'd be cooling.
We'll cut into that shit early if we need to.
We'll
still give it as much time as we can.
Yeah, well, we could end the podcast off with cutting into it. It'll be mostly an hour. We'll still get a nice warm
We could have
slice.
2 whole episodes, the banana bread episodes, and neither of them we eat banana bread.
Actually, we'll do the classic thing, too, because right over my kitchen sink, I have a window, so we could just do the pie sitting on the windowsill, just let it waft over into there, let any kind of, unsuspecting people get lifted off their feet by the nose.
Exactly. You're on the second story, so that's not the worst. Oh, I'm saying for when eventually we close the window or we pull it away and we slam the window and then they fall.
Banana bread officially cooling.
Nice.
Part 2 of the Banana Bread podcast. All right, wait, what part are we on? It's like part 8, right?
Step?
Oh, yeah, step 8. We're sorry. We determined it was like 5 steps to even get the bananas.
Yeah.
So, I forget what step
the
we're on.
recipe itself has 5 more steps before the oven, but one of those steps is 3 steps, so 8. So we're on probably step 17, 18.
Let's just round it up to 20. Make it seem like we were doing a lot.
Yeah. Step
20 of the banana bread is complete.
We're getting there. So another thing about this banana bread is I like sort of like bread and cake recipes that include sour cream.
Okay, yeah.
So this does include sour cream.
This banana bread that we were about to enjoy?
Yes.
Nice.
I love sour cream in general too.
Also, yes.
I also feel like that's one of those things that someone might raise an eyebrow at if they don't really understand its role in something like this, because a big sheet cake also typically includes sour cream for moistness.
Add sour cream into everything. Add it into your lasagnas. You add it into your fucking tacos, nachos, anything like that.
Lasagna, that's ricotta.
But you can also add a little bit of sour cream in there to help a little bit of moistness, a little bit more tang.
I haven't heard of that before, but I would only really imagine that in the absence of ricotta.
You add it with ricotta. I've seen recipes do.
Well, it's probably good.
Yeah, it's not replace it with ricotta, but it was just saying add it in there for a little extra flavor and tang, a little extra whoop with it.
Mm-hmm. I'm also thinking if we try to do this hollandaise thing, it's just so much we got a sauce going in there, we got sour cream going in there. It all sounds very wet until you add in the 2 cups of flour.
Yeah, some sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Add just throw in some cornstarch too, just for the heck of it. Get real gluey.
Yeah. Sticky bread. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the online features of FromSoft games.
The Dark Souls games.
Yeah, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Sekiro, stuff like that.
Yeah, the features where you can leave notes, or you're talking about the rating features where you can come in and ruin someone's game?
The whole shebang.
Okay.
I just think it's really interesting because it's not like a lot of other online features in games. Like a typical, like if you think a game is online, you're gonna think, okay, I can go into a thing and I can match up against other people.
Right.
Right. Or like maybe in the way of an MMO, where it's like you're all just sort of existing in the same space and you can like trade and like probably not PvP, or like you have to go to a specific area in the thing and meet up there to PvP.
Right. It's a shared world. You're thinking it's gonna be.
Yeah, but with the Dark Souls games and Demon Souls and stuff like that, it isn't that. It isn't either of those like two like big things, which is matchmaking based on like skill or whatever, just
right?
Whatever's online, or just like sharing a space in an MMO. So it starts like our story starts with Demon Souls, which I know very little about, but I know that it's very similar to how Dark Souls made it work. Their classic way of making things work, where like you have your random like buff item that turns you back into a human, as opposed to whatever the fuck you are otherwise. Like
sure,
in
Heartless
Demon Souls,
or whatever, or what do they call it?
Heartless, Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, keep confusing it with that.
In Demon Souls, you're like a demon. Like it's like a demon form. You just don't have your body, and you like you have half of your regular health bar.
Yeah.
Which just brings me to the second thing, because they did the same exact shit in Dark Souls 2, where like if you die, you like lose a portion of your max health bar.
Oh, okay,
next time
yeah.
You're gonna go. But in like Dark Souls 1 and 3, it's like you have like a normal health bar, and then when you use these items to make yourself human or kindled in Dark Souls 3,
right,
you gain extra health on top of it.
Okay.
In Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2, as you acquire more curse in Dark Souls 2, or you just lose your human body in Demon Souls, you have your health cut. Both of these
so it's a little more harder, I would say.
It's not though. It's the same thing.
But you get less health from Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2, because you're just always taking away. You never really get a boost back.
Well, you just consider your lost health. I mean, you can regain it in the future, right? But like, you just take your lost health, and that's your base health. It's the same exact thing, but the bar looks different. The bar has a big part of it that's missing and blocked off that you can't fill. But it's the same exact thing. You have the item, you have extra health. You don't have the item, you don't have extra health. It's just that your baseline in Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2 makes you feel like you're missing health. But in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, it doesn't feel like you're missing health. It just feels like you didn't get the bonus.
Huh. Weird. That's an interesting kind of dynamic. I wonder where they went back and forth on it like that.
Dark Souls 1, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, and Dark Souls 3 were mainly headed up by Miyazaki, like the main producer at FromSoft for those series. And Dark Souls 2 sort of like had some of his involvement, but was mainly taken care of by another team.
Oh.
And they take a lot of creative decisions with this. Like each game has some pretty significant jumps, but they all have like the same basic DNA of you go around, you find bonfires, you collect souls, you lose the souls when you die, you have a chance to regain them most of the time. You have like a special item that buffs you, gives you extra health, and can activate like certain covenant items or whatever. And that's pretty much it. Limited health, limited healing things that recharge at like bonfires, stuff like that. And the online system, they're all pretty similar. So, in Demon Souls, you need to become a human to be invaded, right?
Okay, so it's only like a certain point in the game you become human, so it lets you...
No, you use an item.
Oh, so
and
you
it gets
turn it on and
it
off.
puts your health bar all the way back up to the top. It's a decently rare item.
Okay.
And also when you kill a boss, you get it back. And then you're vulnerable to invasions, right?
Right.
And so...
But you have to choose to be.
Yeah. Well, if you beat a boss, you're vulnerable.
Oh, shit.
Because that automatically gives you back your human body.
I see.
But yeah, for the most part, you do kind of opt in. But like, it's like you opt to get the buff, and then like you're also in more danger because of that. And so like a lot of people might, if they have the item, they might make their way all the way up to the boss door and then use it. so they get the extra health and whatever.
Right, for the boss.
Because you can't be invaded while you're doing a boss. There is this one specific guy in Demon Souls, though. I can't think of the name right now. I think he's like Old Priest or something like that. And the priest is like, I'm pretty sure it's like a shriveled up, like sort of like body dude. And he summons a servant to fight you. Right?
Sure.
You can, if you beat him, put yourself into like a pool of people that can be summoned to be the boss in that fight.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's literally just you, like, you know, you just show up and you kick someone's ass. Hopefully.
Does it actually call you, or is it just like a ghost of your character?
It's you.
That's sweet. So just any point or anything, like, hey, the master's calling upon you, go fight.
Yeah, you got to sign up for it, but you know,
that's pretty sweet.
You can do that. And there's like. That's one of the reasons that people will like say, you know, oh, you should actually make sure you're in offline mode for this, because they do have a default NPC to fight if you're not online.
Okay.
And there's just a lot less variance, right?
Sure.
Like you know what you're dealing with. Like this guy, you know, like you can Google his attacks and how he fights and stuff like that, and you can deal
right.
with it. But if you're going in there and every single time facing like some new rando that specifically, like you're just trying to get through the game, and they're specifically like, I'm gonna stop that.
Right.
And I'm going to seek out a fight with a human and get good at fighting other human characters.
That's crazy.
Can be a bit more of a challenge, yeah.
That's crazy to like not know that and show up to it, and you're like, wow, this ghost is a lot better than every other like boss that I've fought. What's going on? Mm-hmm. And you go and fight it the second time after you're losing, like, wait a minute. Completely different person.
And they don't tell you like outright that it's a real human, because they do have NPC fights in the game.
Right, I'm sure. Like you said, if you're offline, they would just pick one.
Yeah, but there's other ones in the game. You know, for different conditions, you'll get invaded by an NPC, which is in like all of them for the most part. And so like you'll fight like other characters, like enemies that are just built as like a player character, and have a player character equipment and player character stats, as opposed to like HP and attack damage. They like actually have their endurance and shit like that. And like how many times they can roll before they run out of stamina and they have to try again.
Interesting. So they have like enemy coding as well as basically the NPC AI coding as two different like types of enemies.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Like an enemy that can actually use its abilities, as opposed to one that's just a bog standard, just skeleton swinging a sword.
Yeah. And there is also one guy that like is an NPC invader, sort of like invader, like helper guy is a confusing thing. But no, this is Dark Souls 2 I'm thinking of. I'll get to that afterwards. Dark Souls 1, you know, say we're done with Dark Souls or Demon Souls for now. Dark Souls 1, you now have covenants in the game.
Right.
So there's different types of covenants. There's like there's co-op covenants, like, you know, the Warriors of Sunlight, where you meet this guy pretty early in the game, Solaire.
Yeah, praise the sun.
Yeah, he's a very iconic guy.
Yeah.
And you can join his covenant, and your covenant is basically all based on helping people. So you put down your, you get like a soapstone is what they call them. So you could write messages on the ground with like a orange soapstone or whatever.
Right.
And, you use the white soapstone to like write down a summoning sign for yourself. And then if you're like part of the covenant, I forget if it's either if you're part of the covenant or you get like a special soapstone to act as a member of the covenant. But you write down your name and it's gold. And when you're part of a covenant, like you do certain things and you gain special items that are specific to your covenant.
Okay. That's kind of cool.
And then you can exchange those with the right people to get specific rewards, and like different items and, you know, spells and stuff like that.
That's kind of, so it makes you like, if you join different covenants, there's literally things that you get locked out of, because you can't get something from another covenant if you already were in that one. You wouldn't have the same. That's neat.
Well, you can leave your covenant whenever, but they will hate you.
Oh, geez.
They will not like you anymore.
And they're around, I assume, in the world, just ready to be like, hey, he's over there. That's that guy we hate.
Kinda. Not all of them. But some of them, like, there's another covenant, which is PvP covenant is the Forest Hunters. And it's where you go into... There's like this one particular like forest that you go into, obviously, and it's full of these red phantoms, which are invaders, but they're fake. They're NPCs.
Right.
And if you make it to the other side, there's this cat sitting in a window. It's a big, fat, Cheshire-looking cat. And he's like, you can join me and, you know, like be part of the Forest Hunters and like invade, you know, keep the forest safe from outsiders and stuff like that. And then you'll get summoned in to kick people out of the forest.
Nice. That's pretty sweet.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I like that kind of integration with it, where it's literally like you can just be summoned into other people's games, not even as an invasion part, but as just like, yeah, you're part of the larger world.
Yeah, you're defending this like random place.
Yeah.
There's also the Dark Wraiths, which also like a lot of the covenants and stuff like that are related to in-game NPCs, which is cool because it's like you're kind of enacting their will. You're like siding with them in a way.
Right.
Sometimes, other times you're not. Like you don't. Like you can be a part of a certain covenant and still kill the covenant leader. It's like doesn't matter.
Wait. How?
I'll get to that part, but right now we're talking about the Dark Wraiths, which is kind of the thing where there's like the Four Kings boss were like sort of they were sort of convinced by the Dark Wraiths to do the things that they do. They fall into the darkness. There you go down to fight them in this like crazy abyss, like just like black plain, where you're all just floating there.
Sounds about right for wraiths.
And if you beat them super early, this like serpent dude shows up that looks similar to this other serpent dude that you know. And he's like, "Hey, fancy meeting you here. Want to join the Dark Wraiths?" And their whole shtick is you get an orb that lets you invade infinitely, because normally you need to use a consumable or get summoned in by some other covenant thing.
Right.
But you know that's the cracked red eye orb. With the Dark Wraiths, you can actually get a red eye orb. And it's not cracked and it has infinite uses. And there's Dark Wraith enemies, which are they look like they're going to be an NPC enemy, but they aren't in all the games. And they have a thing where it's a special like hand thing, and it has a move where it grabs them by the enemy by the head and sucks the humanity out of them.
Oh.
So you like expend one humanity to get into your human form, and then you can have other humanities like used on you. It's like a little number on the top left. It increases your like item discovery chance and like a couple of other stats, I believe. So you can be a super dark lord, like actually power up. That's wild. Yes, you can show up and you can like use that on someone and suck the humanity
That's
out of
crazy,
them.
Yeah.
And it's part of like your shtick, you know. Let's see, Path of the Dragon. That's you go really deep into like you break down an illusory wall and you find a chest, and then if you actually hit the wall behind that chest, it brings you down a tree trunk into this place called like Ash Lake. You go all the way to the end of that, there's this dragon guy just sitting there, and you can join his covenant and he will give you stuff that turns you into a dragon. And I think you just invade people and be a dragon.
Pretty sweet.
Kind of your shtick.
Yeah.
Blade of the Dark Moon, those are sort of like defenders, I'm pretty sure. They'll like, you're supposed to come around and like help people. You know, like you get summoned and you like defend someone who's getting invaded. And that's based off of Gwendolyn, which is a character in the game, who like has this whole illusory spell over like one of the main parts of the map.
Sounds familiar. I've watched a few videos on Dark Souls lore.
You can kill him. If you know where to like find him, you can go in and you can kill him. And he kicks you out of the covenant, obviously. But
at his final breath, you get out
you're
of
fired.
Here.
But it's cool, you know, like you're going around, you're defending people and stuff like that. And then there's Gravelord Servant. So this is you're serving a mandatory boss. You have to beat to finish the game.
Okay.
And basically, your whole thing is just like spreading as much death as possible. So for Gravelording, you go to an area and you set up calamities, right? So you go there and you like put a stake down pretty much, and you're like, I'm Gravelording here. And it just like spawns extra enemies and anyone in that, like anyone who's connected to your world.
Just spawns a guy that says, hey, I'm Gravelording here.
Yeah, I'm Gravelording here. Watch where you're going. But like extra enemies and like all types of other shit. Like just in the world. It just makes it harder for you to get your own shit done. And then there's a thing on the ground for you to invade the Gravelord.
That's pretty sweet.
So
you can
it's
just go
like,
fuck him up. Like, oh, you want to try and come mess up my world?
Yeah, but a Gravelord is someone who's pretty confident in their abilities to kill other players. So, you go there, you set down your thing, and you're like, come at me, bitch. Stop me from doing this. I dare you. And then you go there and you probably get killed.
I was gonna say, then, but what happens if you go there and do stop him? Then it's just like, well.
Then you clear the thing.
He's a bitch, that Gravelord.
Yeah. Grave plebeian.
More like grave loser.
Yeah. But you get cool shit for doing it. You get the Gravelord Gravelord Sword Dance Miracle, Gravelord Greatsword Dance Miracle, and then like the more you level it up you get like your special covenant item for killing people as a Gravelord. You get bonus damage on those things, and this isn't even an equipment thing. When you use it, it's just stronger, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so they'll do that. You'll have matchmaking based around like your level. So like an invader can only really invade up like by a couple of levels. So if you're getting invaded by someone, they're typically like just a couple of levels under you, but
right, to keep like the MMR balance.
Yeah, but they're like also the ones actively going out of their way to hunt somebody down, so they probably have a optimized build for killing people.
Right.
Which I think is pretty good balance. And then there's the Chaos Servants, which I don't think has anything to do with PvE or PvP. It just gives you some pyromancies.
Burn it all.
Yeah, and well, you like feed humanities to this like giant spider.
All right, that's pretty sweet.
Well, you kill a giant spider, right? And then you go into this bell tower, and if you go to the bottom and like hit a certain wall, it's an illusory wall. You go in, and it's like, oh, this is that giant spider's sister, and she's like basically like dead because she would like personally suck the poison out of her like followers. Because they all got poisoned by something.
Oh.
So she's like all like poisoned and sick and stuff like that, and like, doesn't say anything.
What a nice queen, though.
Yeah.
She helped all her followers get unpoisoned. That's pretty sweet.
And then she lays all her eggs on them, but they're happy to deal with it. They're not poisoned to death.
Yeah, I mean, it's either death or eggs, I suppose. Might choose death, but those people chose eggs. That's their prerogative.
But yeah, that has nothing to do with online. It's just another covenant you can join, and if you give her enough humanities, she'll open up a shortcut for you. So here you go.
Cool.
So that's Dark Souls 1, right? You use humanity, you become your human form, and then you're open to invasions, but you also need to do that to invite people to your world in the first place.
Right.
So, it's a give and a take, and there's still, like, I think a couple NPC invaders that can come for you in specific areas of the map, and you gotta deal with them. Whatever. Dark Souls 2, I know very little about, but they have some similar things. Heirs of the Sun is one of the covenants. Way of the Blue is one of the covenants. Blue Sentinels. So a lot of similar shit, right?
Right.
Dark Souls 2 also has PvE covenants, such as the Company of Champions. So Dark Souls 2 is an entry in the series where, like, a lot of the enemies, if you just kill them a bunch of times, they have a limit on how many times that they respawn.
Oh, so you can just empty the world, essentially, if you just grind it?
There's a couple of them that won't get permanently deleted, but that's sort of the opposite of, like, the rest of the series, where it's like most of the guys are not permanently deleted, and you might run into like one or two like special bosses, and like this giant boar
Right, that's never going to come back after you kill it the one time.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But the Company of Champions basically allows them to continue to respawn.
Oh, so you can just turn it back on.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And you can farm. There's also the Mirror Knight. So you remember when I was talking about that old monk fight in Demon Souls where it summons a dude?
Yeah.
Mirror Knight is this dude is a knight with a shield that's a big mirror. And when you get him to like, I don't know, like 2/3 health, like half health, something like that, he'll slam the mirror down and someone will step through it. And that will be another player.
An actual player? That's cool.
Yeah.
Do they integrate that in like every single game? Just different ways?
They didn't do it in Dark Souls 1 as far as I know.
Oh.
But they did have, that's the first game where they added an arena to fight in. They did do it in Dark Souls 2.
It was Demon Souls that was the monk fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is something in it for Dark Souls 3. But we'll get to that. And I don't think there's anything in Elden Ring for it.
Elden Ring would have been the big thing to do it. That's like the biggest one of the games.
I'll have to think about it more. I'll see if I'm forgetting anything, but
Nothing in Sekiro?
no, there's nothing in Sekiro. Like Sekiro, basically on launch, it had 0 online features.
Oh. I guess some people would kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, well, the thing is like it's supposed to be mostly like a single player. Like it really is a single player experience. You don't get to make like an interesting build or something like that you want to.
Right, you're basically just going through the story.
And the combat is like the system is very precise. Where I'm pretty sure if you try to put that online, like everyone just gets so upset with like, which side like happens on what screen, like in the time that it takes for that signal to get to like the other thing, 20 ping or whatever.
Yeah, the more precise that you need to make the combat, the more like difficult that becomes to emulate over an online connection.
Yeah, like rollback netcode or whatever, like it would piss everybody off. But eventually, I think Sekiro is probably the only one that ended up getting like a big, like significant free update. Where down the line they basically added 3 new skins that you can get for completing different endings of the game.
Like new game plus skins, like once you go back the second time?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like if you get a certain ending, new game plus, you can change your skin to be like, if you took the evil ending, you can go to New Game Plus, and then it's like, by the way, you can change skins to be evil Sekiro.
And do the evil ending again, but this time look the part.
Yeah. But they added in those skins. They added in 1 new combat art. They added in boss gauntlets and rematches. So you don't need to play through the game again to fight a specific boss again. You can just go to a shrine or a bonfire and you hit the button. And then you can fight them again at your leisure. And gauntlets, there's a couple of different things you can unlock for that. And kunai. So there's these little like spirit kunai things that you get now. And you can leave recordings of yourself. You could do like a message.
Like ghost recordings or recordings of your player?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can leave little ghost recordings of yourself.
That was like voice memos.
No.
Just speak into the knife and then put it in the ground.
But yeah, you can do like little like recordings of your character, and like I'm pretty sure you can throw a couple words in there.
Okay.
And that's it. That's all that it has in Sekiro.
Pretty cool.
It's just fine. Yeah, you could throw that down and you can like show somebody a secret if you want.
Right.
Or you can throw it down and then like
jump off the edge.
Yeah.
Didn't jump here.
Yeah.
Jump ahead. That's the classic one.
But that's the thing that you could probably convince somebody in Sekiro with that because you set down the recording yourself, right?
Right.
But in like all the other games, it's like you'll walk over to a certain edge and you'll see like blood stains on the ground. Which blood stains are another thing that I guess I didn't really talk about. But basically, if somebody dies playing Dark Souls, they'll leave a blood stain on the ground, which is what you go back to grab to get your souls.
Right. Does that leave it like for other players in their games? Leave it on your map too?
For you go and you grab the souls, but it sends that blood stain to other people, and it records like the last like 5 seconds of your life before you got killed.
Huh.
So like, I remember this very clearly in Elden Ring, where like You walk over to a ledge and you see a bunch of like notes that are like, you know, secret below or something like that.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of blood stains next to it of people like just jumping off.
People are just looking and jump off.
Very classic message system. It's illusory wall ahead, and then you trick someone into hitting a
bong. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh no.
I got fooled again. This son of a bitch.
Or telling people to jump off of cliffs and stuff. But the thing is sometimes they're right.
Yeah, because you never really know what could be like actually down there.
So
you know, the bloodstains could just be the ones who missed.
Exactly. That legitimately happens. So, like, some people would, like, come up to something, then they'd, like, jump off, miss the thing, and be like, this fucker, they lied to me. And then not go back and legitimately miss something. Also, a fun thing is that you can rate messages. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure they show messages based on, like, how many ratings they have, not whether they've gotten good or bad ratings.
So just ratings, period.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
People are saying something about it. It must be something that gets people's attention.
Yeah, it must be worth talking about.
But yeah, those are fun systems. Dark Souls 2, Mirror Knight, cool deal.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of like summoning in an quote unquote NPC that's actually a person.
Mm-hmm. Dark Souls 3 has a similar covenant system to Dark Souls 1 and like Dark Souls 2, but it sort of takes a back seat for the most part. There's like the corpse pilers or something like that, which is like you end up going to this like secret place. It's actually sort of funny how you get that done. Is that there's one guy walking around with a cage on his back and he will attack you if he sees you. You sneak up behind him and climb into the cage on his back. He'll take you to this underground mass grave thing, just piled up with bodies. And there's a guy there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're the worm dudes or whatever. You want to join our covenant? We just kill people." And that particular, you get summoned. You like enter into worlds as like a mad spirit, and mad spirits are purple. They aren't like blue or red, like like normal, defensive or offensive, or like invading or whatever. And you are capable of attacking anybody. So
what is that? Can you invade while someone else is also invading, and
yes.
then just kill both of them? Oh, nice.
Yep. That's the shtick.
Third party.
You might try and help them. You might try and fight them. Who cares? You're there for blood. You're there to kill someone. And so long as you get the kill, you get your stuff. You get your items. All fine and dandy.
Yeah.
But there's also a boss that's like in that same area, and it's basically a giant tree with these like legs and stuff like that, and he's apparently just full of curse. Then he has these weird like pustules on him. It's basically like a lot of people say it's like you just run up and you're like just smacking his balls. But it's pretty gross. He's a very gross guy. When you get him to half, he like lifts himself up and then just slams down, breaks the floor, brings you down to that place where you met the other guy that brought you into the covenant.
Oh God.
And afterwards, he's dead.
So if you don't join the covenant before that, you just can't?
Nope.
That's pretty cool.
Just because this dude like lifted himself up, slammed, broke the floor, everything collapsed in, killed that one guy that was chilling there.
With all the pile of bodies. There's the only other guy in the covenant. It was just him. You want to join my covenant? I kill people. You want to kill people with me?
Yeah. That's the whole
That's
thing.
basically it.
I'll bring up the list of the Dark Souls 3 covenants to see. Oh, the Mound Makers. They also have the classic, like Warriors of Sunlight, Way of Blue, Blue Sentinels, Blades of the Dark Moon. But Mound Maker. Those are the ones that like you're just making mounds.
Making mounds of bodies everywhere. Worms.
There's Rosaria's Fingers, where that's a covenant where this is sort of like fucked up slug woman and her slug followers in this church. Not even like the main part of the church. Like they're kind of like in an off room. just doing their thing. And Rosaria is the person that you go to respec your stats. So that's like a covenant-specific thing. You'd have to leave another covenant if you wanted that. But I'm pretty sure this is like Dark Souls 1, where like if you leave your covenant, they like fucking hate you. You just like equip like which covenant you're like working for at the time.
Okay. So it doesn't lock out like that major aspect of you forever if you want to do something else.
Yeah.
Right.
There's the Watchdogs of Farron. What's their deal? Oh yeah, you find a giant, like very sickly wolf, and if you pray to him, you get to become a Watchdog of Farron, and you are auto-summoned into this bog to kill people if they show up. Very similar to the cat that you would get summoned into the forest to protect.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get auto summoned in, and you just got to stop people from getting through the bog. It's also a classic place because people make a lot of theme characters and stuff like that, right? There's a ring you can equip that makes it so if you invade, you don't show up as like blue for the Watchdogs or like red for just regular invasions or whatever. You just come in your normal skin.
Okay.
And it's decently common, I feel, for people to invade as Shrek there.
You're in the swamp, yeah.
Yeah, because you can do whatever skin color you want. The character creation is pretty like, it's not like Oblivion where you can do like a shit ton of things for the face, but you can do a lot of like,
morphing and
how
whatnot.
much like muscles in the arms, how much in the legs, how's your gut, all that stuff. You can wear a loincloth.
Hell yeah.
Which this guy opted to do. But yeah, you could be Shrek.
That's awesome.
There's Aldrich Faithful, which Aldrich he's just sort of a great Dark Souls 3 character, I'd say. Dark Souls 1 has this guy, Smo, and like everybody fucking hates him. Like everybody thinks he's the worst. He's like one of the like main knights of he really wanted to be a main knight of Gwyn, who's like the god that you killed at the end of the game. But he didn't end up getting that title just because of how ruthless he is. His name's Executioner Smo. He's a royal executioner. He kill people and you just fucking eat them. You like grind their bones into like a dust and like drink that or whatever.
Jeez.
With water. He just fucking eats people and everyone hates him for it.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy thing to hate someone for.
Yeah.
Shit.
There's a big snake guy named Frampt where you can feed him some of your souls, and certain things he'll give you a better price for than if you just used it yourself. Because you kill a boss, you get a boss soul a lot of the times. And so there's like this big spider lady with like big tits and no top on, and he'll give you bonus if you feed him her soul. And if you feed him Smo's soul, he'll give you 1 soul.
Hates that guy.
Fucking hates that guy.
Not even worth it.
But Aldrich, you fight him in the same place, and he is also an eater of people. The whole deal with Dark Souls 3 is that you need to go kill, basically like there's a whole cycle of relighting the fire of the world or whatever, right? And you need like the kindled or whatever, what's the term? There's some other word for it. Ashen one.
Yeah.
Right. Those are people that like tried to light the fire and they like weren't strong enough. There's like Ashen lords or whatever.
Right.
That like actually succeeded in sacrificing their life to keep the fire going. You play as an Ashen one, like you failed. You tried to sacrifice yourself to keep the fire going, and you didn't help it at all while dying.
No. That's how you start the game as?
Yeah. But you get resurrected because nobody's relighting the fire. The fire's getting like,
Gotta go out, yeah.
Yeah. So he starts resurrecting everyone that ever tried to do it, to like try and get them to do it again. And the guys that like 4 or 5 of the guys that succeeded, some of them are like groups of people, are like, fuck that, I'm not doing that again. And for you to get even the power to successfully relight it, you got to kill them, right?
Damn.
Aldrich. Everyone fucking hates Aldrich. They want him to die. They don't give a shit. But he had enough power to relight the fire, so he was forced to do it. But because of that, he was also resurrected by the fire when it needed someone to relight it.
Right, so now he's just back stomping around.
Yeah, he's just this big black goop. And yeah, he took over like the main city of the first game. And you fight your way all the way back up into the the boss fight room for Ornstein and Smo, and he's there, and he has the half-eaten like body of Gwendolyn from the first game.
Ooh.
And like it's sort of like Gwendolyn's body like at the top, and then like weird sludge down from there. Starts using Gwendolyn's spells at you and shit like that.
Oh wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
cool callback.
And then when you kill him, you get like certain items that let you like go to a shop, and then you get like new stuff. When you kill him, you get access to Smo's armor set.
What? Smo's the guy who everybody hates, right?
Smo's the guy that everyone hates in Dark Souls 1 for eating people.
Yeah.
And you kill him in that room. Kill Aldrich in that room. You get Smo's armor set. So my crackpot theory that nobody else believes but me is that Smo became Aldrich. He just continued to eat people, and maybe you didn't kill him correctly. You didn't kill Ornstein. That was like a projection thing. Like a double.
I was going to say, when you were describing Aldrich, just this guy that everybody hates, but he was powerful enough, I was like, it kind of sounds like he was Smo.
Yeah, but he has his own cult at least. Someone likes him. But yeah, so I think they're the same person. I think Smo just ate so much people and stuff like that that he just transformed into a sludge.
I can see it. I believe it.
Thank you. Somebody believes me.
I've never played a Dark Souls game beyond the first one and never plan to, but I will believe it. I'll be in your corner for that one.
But yeah, after that, those are the most interesting ones. There's Bloodborne. It's sort of the same stuff, except it's like kind of hard to I feel like you need to invite to be invaded. You need to ring a bell to challenge people to come.
Right. Actually turn it on. I would like this to be the PvE or PvP section of the game now.
Yeah, for the most part, it's not really relevant. There is an NPC fight that comes up where it does have a weird thing where it's to summon in an enemy, there's this weird bell ringing woman that supposedly gets spawned into the area that you're in, and you gotta find her and kill her to stop getting invaded.
Right.
Something like that. I don't really know, but PvP never really picked up on that game. They don't have fight clubs like in Dark Souls 3 and hot spots where people do PvP.
Right.
Sekiro has nothing. Armored Core 6.
Oh, is that also a From Software game?
It is.
Oh,
it came out after Elden Ring, but before the Elden Ring DLC.
I didn't realize.
Oh, wait, no, shit. We'll go back to Dark Souls 3 real quick. In the DLC there, they also added a new Covenant, which is basically the same exact thing as the monk fight, where, you go there, and it's you basically, if you beat it, you can join the church, and you can be summoned as someone to...
right, to come and fight.
To be the spear of the church, and defend the church. And as you win more fights, you level up your covenant, and you get access to the spells that the base NPC there has.
Oh, pretty cool.
So you can cosplay, yeah. Elden Ring is a sort of weird thing, because in all the other games, it's just if you use the item that gives you more health, you are now open to invasions. Someone can come and invade you. That's how it is.
Yeah.
In Elden Ring, you need to have two people. You need to already have another person summoned to even be open to invasions. Or you use an item called the Taunter's Tongue, which invites invaders.
So kind of same thing as Bloodborne, you got to turn it on.
Yeah, but the Rune Arcs, which are the things that just buff you, those don't invite invaders at all. So
nice. You
can do whatever. You can wear special rings that might summon you to help people out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They do have these 3 arenas where you can go in and you can choose to PvP against other people, which is cool. And there's plenty of fake invaders, NPC invaders. They're everywhere in that game.
Are they just a lot easier, obviously, than normal human invaders? So you just get a little scared, oh shit, I'm getting invaded. It turns out it's just an NPC. It's whatever.
Kinda, yeah. It's also a more flavorful way for an NPC to fight you than just you running into them.
Sure. Makes them a little more special.
But yeah, that's sort of it. They do have a sort of pretend covenant in the. You remember me talking about the Assassin's Guild type thing with the giant snake?
Mm.
You invade NPCs for that actually.
Invade NPCs?
Yeah. You like go to a spot and then it's all like fake, right? It's not, you're not actually getting summoned in to another game or anything, but it's just like they still make you interact with the system.
That's kind of cool.
So you invade NPCs and you kill them for that, and it's chill.
Well, I've learned a lot about From Software games, but I would also like to learn a lot about banana bread.
It is about that time.
It is about that time that we try that spread.
But yeah, the online options for the game are really cool. They're like nothing else for the most part.
Yeah, they're very unique, especially that being able to like get summoned by a boss, basically, to go and fight other people. That's cool.
Yeah. The banana bread's pretty good.
Damn good. Very moist, got a good crunch in it from the nuts. Delicious. Very rugged looking too. I like when banana breads aren't that like neat and clean looking. I like when they got a nice rugged top texture to them. Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Cold Hard Trash CRT, episode 26.
The banana bread episode.
Banana bread part 2. Hope it is every bit as enjoyable to listen to us eating it as it is actually eating it. Tell your friends that this is the best or worst podcast in the world. I'm sure if you tell them either one, they'll kind of probably be... Oh, excuse me. They'll be inclined to check it out. If you tell them it's the worst, they'll be like, how bad could it possibly be, you know? So, whatever way you feel like spreading our good name or bad name, go ahead and do it. We'd appreciate it. Till next time, though.
Yeah.
See you.
Peace.
Got it. Good shit.